In the middle of the railroad track, looked around, and I knew there was no turning back. My mind raced, and I thought, what could I do? And I knew there was no help from you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to We Are a Crotchety Old Man
and a Woman,
a podcast for you, with you, and sometimes even about you. So we are a day late, and that's 100% my fault. I apologize to everyone, as I decided I was going to watch the hockey game last night, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But thank you for joining us. Today is March 24th, and it's a kind of a fun day for us where Abigail and I have been sitting here. We're actually had a whole day planned. We have breakfast, and we're having a good old time. And speaking of food, today is National Chocolate Covered Raisin Day.
Yuck.
I know Abigail not a big fan of the raisins, but here's a question, Abigail. I actually do love Raisinets, but outside of Raisinets, can you name any other chocolate covered raisin?
Since I'm never buying them, I can't say.
It's fascinating because Raisinets are not Hershey. Hershey's got another brand. It begins with a G. It's like Gelosi. Any idea what it's called?
As I just said, I don't shop for them, so I don't know.
That's okay. That's okay. But it is Chocolate Covered Raisin Day. Raisinets are the only flavor. So what I did, because we didn't really have a taste test because that was the only thing we had. So I was looking at yesterday. Yesterday was International Chips and Dip Day. So first, and now before I talk about chips, these are Americanized potato chips, pretzels, things along those lines, not what we call French fries. So for our one fan that we do have in England, these are crisps, if that helps. So we don't want to cause any confusion. I don't know if in Australia they call them anything else.
I don't know.
So with that, question for you. I'm going to ask you types of dip, and you can tell me if you like it, don't like it, and if you do, what you would add, what type of chip. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay, so French onion dip.
Goes well with plain salted potato chips.
Nice. Do you have a favorite type of potato chip? Just regular, like brand, I mean?
I guess Lay's, but another potato chip that I like that is not actually a potato chip, and it usually doesn't go with dip, is Pringles.
Those are good. Here's a weird one. You know my favorite potato chip brand is?
No.
Food Lion. They are huge, and it's not because they're cheap. They are less salty than Lay's, and they are huge chips usually. They're never broken. I don't know why. Food Lion.
That's interesting, but there's nothing that can have too much salt, in my opinion.
Yep, and Lay's does have more. Okay, how about guacamole dip? Big fan, not a fan?
I never had it until a couple years ago, and now I love it.
Okay, avocado dip, or the one that's served in restaurants all the time. What's that one? What it's like avocado, garlic, cheese. What is that dip?
Oh, I know what you're talking about, and I do like it, but I can't think of the name right now. Artichoke dip.
Artichoke dip. Yes,
Yeah.
and remember last week was National Artichoke Heart Day. And that's the only thing we can think that we like. What about salsa? Is that considered a dip?
Yes, and I like a little Tostitos salsa chips with that.
Nice, dropping the name. I know you love pretzels. Have you ever had pretzels and hummus? That's my brother introduced me to that a few years back, and I love it.
I have not, but obviously the pretzels from the grocery store are either twists or sticks. But now a lot of the restaurants are selling large globular pretzels,
Globular,
and
that's a
they're
word.
warm, and they unfortunately never have enough salt for me. But you dip them in a mustard dip or a cheese dip, and I
Mm.
must say they're usually very good.
I am a huge fan of hot pretzels ever since I was a kid. They have always been. I do remember my visiting my brother up in Delaware at the beach, and one of those giant pretzels was like 25 bucks.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
it was. I mean, it was a huge pretzel, but $25 for a pretzel. I was like, okay, thank you. I don't know. I bought it without looking at the price. I'm such a cheapskate. Anyway, so that was our national our national food day today. Um, so once again, I apologize. I definitely had a lot more stuff for yesterday for our this date in history, but I got some really cool stuff. Hopefully, you bear with me, and I'm going to go in chronological order because today there was two events that happened on in 1942, obviously at the heart of World War II. The first one is uh, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the President of the United States, had an executive order 9066, which interned, is it interred or interned, um, Japanese Americans. Um, which right off the bat, I don't even think it still gets covered enough. That we actually took a group of people from a country, from one country, yes, we were at war at, and locked them up, but not the Germans. Just point that out.
Well, Arden, I have to make a comment about this. I
Go for
mean,
it.
we need to tie it to today's history. And today's history is we have illegal aliens coming into this country, and they should be put into internment camps. But no, that's not what's occurring. What's occurring is that they're getting basically um, free cell phones, free prepaid debit cards, in some cases, hotel stays, and many of them can now get driver's licenses into certain states. And I just kind of went on a rant just there, but I just think it's kind of ironic when you look at what happened to Japanese Americans back in 1942.
It's and you know what's even more incredible about this time? So these people were so patriotic about being here that I wanted to read this because this was fascinating. So they took people who were either in Hawaii or in California, and this one infantry regiment, the 442nd, their regiment name is the Purple Heart Battalion. They suffered more injuries and won more medals than any other infantry unit in all of World War II. They had over 21 members win the Medal of Honor. I mean, so these people, their relatives were in internment camps and they were fighting the Italians and the Germans. I mean, like, just imagine that. You're like you're not even considered a citizen, not even a second class citizen. Your family is literally locked up and you're fighting for this country. It's an amazing time.
Right, and I doubt any of the people crossing the border today have any interest in defending this country. So, again, I'm back on my tangent, and I know people want me to get away from being crotchety, but that just infuriates me.
It's a different time and it's scary because there's a lot of people who are coming to this country the right way, and they are as patriotic. And I have another story, but maybe at another time. That made me cry in an interview I had with a woman who literally fought. She didn't fight; she was an interpreter in our war in Afghanistan, and we made her a citizen. And she was more patriotic about this country than most. But anyway, let me. I'm going off on a tangent there too. But another thing that happened in World War II. Did you ever see the movie The Great Escape?
No.
So it's a great movie, but probably 60% historically inaccurate. The true story is that 76 Allied officers escaped Stalag 3 in 1942. Watch the movie for how they did it. A lot of that is correct, and some of it, but it's been very Americanized and Hollywoodized. There were very few Americans as part of it, and they left out the Canadians. They also left out a part that a lot of Germans helped the Allies.
I'm sorry, I just had to say I don't think it was a problem leaving out the Canadians.
We gotta love the Canadians. As a hockey fan, I gotta love Canadians.
No, we don't.
Sorry, sorry, folks. She's anti-Canadian, even though part of my family's up there in Canada right now, insulting me. Anyway, so another amazing thing about this is, out of the 76 that tried to escape, 50 were caught and executed. They were driven out to open fields and shot with machine guns against the Geneva Convention, which unbelievable part of history. Another quick military one, in 1958, that is when Elvis Presley, he joined the army. Now, I think that was a big deal because he was the biggest entertainer of all, not of all time, but of that era.
Yeah, my mom really loved Elvis Arden. And I remember on the day they died, she was pretty upset. I mean, grown woman, granted, but she
Right, it's a
really
hero.
liked him, and I do remember the day he died.
He was, would you call him a triple threat? He could sing, he was in movies. He wasn't a great dancer, but he danced around. But he did it all.
He did do it all, and I mean, he started rock and roll essentially.
He definitely changed it from the bluegrass that where it was, and he just took it to a whole new level and introduced us to. I mean, you always had like the Frank Sinatras and those types, but he just took it to that next level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and he had a great voice.
Yeah. And the last thing I have for this day is I kind of remember this, but do you remember in 1989 the Exxon Valdez spill, the oil spill?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the poor birds, and
The poor birds, of course.
and they were using Dawn soap on them.
Dogs, I could not remember the name of that soap. Remember that? They're like cleaning the poor little ducklings and everything. Oh, it's so sad.
It was terrible.
And I think the ship captain was drunk or something, but yeah, so that's kind of what I got for you for this date in history. But you had a more serious topic you wanted to discuss about what today is and what next week will bring.
Well, today is, as most of you probably know, is Palm Sunday. As a Catholic, it's a very important religious holiday. It essentially marks Christ's his triumphant entry into Jerusalem, um, and is considered a joyous day. And overall, the people that greeted him in Jerusalem were holding palms, and that's why we call it Palm Sunday. Now, at masses today, you essentially get palms to take home with you. And my dad used to put them on the dashboards of our cars, but of course, sometimes he would make crosses. But one thing I do remember, and I kind of chuckle about, was we were always told never to let them touch the ground. And, that always put the fear of God in me, literally, not to let that touch the ground. Were you aware of that, Arden?
No, I got it. It's almost like the American flag that you're not allowed to have it touch the ground. Now, were you supposed to burn the palms?
I'm not sure. My dad, I don't think we ever did. But maybe you're supposed to. But I do have a, ultimately it's the last week of Lent as well,
Right.
which is more solemn, and you're supposed to give something up and all that good stuff. But I have a little, trivia for you, Arden. Let's take a stab at it, all right?
I will do my best.
Okay, what kind of animal did Jesus Christ ride into Jerusalem?
Okay. This will be a total guess. Uh, was it like a donkey or a mule or something like that?
Wow, you got it right for once.
Oh, For what? I think I've seen some like stained glass windows that had Jesus riding a donkey or an ass or a mule. I don't know.
Do you know what the donkey represents?
I will not even try to guess. I don't want to insult anyone.
Well, it's interesting. Essentially, a donkey is considered an animal of peace, and
Really?
it was appropriate that Christ rode on and rode into Jerusalem on a donkey.
Okay. Kind
Um,
of like a dove.
yeah. So, can you tell me what the opposite type of animal would have been for him to ride in on?
Well, I can't imagine him riding in on like a lion. So I don't know. I really don't.
Well, it could have been a horse,
Oh, okay.
but horses are not animals of peace at all.
Really?
They're considered animals of war. And
Well,
it makes
okay.
sense
Makes sense.
because what do people ride on in, historical wars?
Yep, horses.
Horses.
Knights and
So
yeah, that makes total chariots were war horses. Yeah, that makes total sense now.
So, for all you Christians out there, happy Palm Sunday. We'll be having another show next weekend, and we'll be getting ready to celebrate Easter.
Awesome. And I think Passover is not for like the end of April.
Hmm.
It's like way back. Usually they're like back to back or together. Because I got to go get some matzahs. Hopefully, my mom has a habit of getting matzahs for us, which is kind of fun. And speaking of fun, it is my favorite part of the segment. It's all about Abigail talking sports. But the only thing I am going to slip in here real quickly is the UFL begins 6 days from today with our DC Defenders starting next Sunday. So 7 days for that. And we are going to be talking UFL football a little bit because we like it. Damn it. So what do we got going on in sports? There's a lot going on.
Well, I think there's a lot you can actually contribute to this segment.
Oh,
for
hopefully.
once.
Hopefully.
So, all I know is this guy named Otani. Does he play for the Yankees?
No, and I'm glad they don't have him. He's a Dodger.
He's a Dodger. Wow.
He is the newest Babe Ruth.
Not a draft Dodger.
Not
just
a draft
Dodger.
Dodger, just a
Okay.
Dodger. Or a trolley Dodger, where they got their name from, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, all I know is I saw some headlines about him, but that's about it. What's going on with Otani?
So this is really weird. It seems to change a lot, where somehow his interpreter was fired because he's Japanese, and he was fired. He is the richest baseball player ever. He's getting a $700+ million contract. And what happened is that there's all of these allegations that there's been over $4 million of money that was stolen, possibly by the interpreter from Otani or from somewhere else, and that there was to pay off gambling debts. That he was betting on, that maybe Otani or the interpreter, someone was betting on soccer and other sporting events, and they lost over $4 million. And so people are worried that Otani knows a lot more than he's saying, and it could destroy his reputation. Because gambling in baseball is, you can cheat in baseball. You can take drugs and do all these things, and it's not that big a deal. But if you gamble on baseball, you're done. Look at Shoeless Joe Jackson. Look at Pete Rose. So this is kind of important. And it is spring training. Otani is not pitching this year, so he's only hitting. And so, he might get booed a lot when he goes out there. And he's got the #1 selling jersey. He's got, he draws fans because people want to see him. I mean, the guy is amazing. I mean, the reason they call him the new Babe Ruth is because he pitches and he hits. So, but he did suffer an injury, so he can't pitch this year. He had surgery on it, but he'll be good to go. Spring training, we'll cut a little bit of spring training. It's almost done. Baseball season, I think, starts next week. I think. I don't have that off the top of my head, but we're getting closer. Actually, we did have the 2 first games in Seoul, Korea, that happened between the Dodgers and the Padres, and they split 1-1. If you saw any of it, they were kind of crazy. The fans out there were amazing. But you want to get to the real sports that are going on right now.
Well, I think we continue to stick with you because, your tangents somewhat continue, but you're getting better about it.
Sorry.
So hockey season's winding down, and I'm a Caps fan overall, and Arden is a Rangers fan. But the Capitals are fighting for their lives to make it to the playoffs. But Arden, how are the Rangers doing?
As of last night before I went to bed, the Rangers are in first place overall in the entire NHL. And if the season ended right now, they would win what's called the President's Cup, which is not the Stanley Cup. It's a President's Cup. It means absolutely nothing. It just means you have the best record. And the amazing part is that if the Caps make the playoffs, there's a very good chance the Caps and Rangers will be playing together round one. And I don't know if Abigail will let me move in if the Rangers win because I will have bragging rights for at least a year.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, hopefully this tournament, or whatever you want to call it, is done, and either the Capitals are out or the Rangers are out before you move in. We don't want any conflict to get our, first foot in the door, so to speak.
Exactly, because I might be a face painter. I'm gonna face, but the worst part is that the Caps are red, black, and white, and the Rangers are red, white, and blue. America's colors, thank you, by the way. And yeah, so let me get off this because Abigail's getting a little, she's getting feisty.
Well, obviously, the big thing going on for the last week or so, and we've got a couple more weeks, is the NCAA basketball tournament.
All right.
And I'm going to start off with the women because, Arden's a bit sexist, when it comes to women in sports.
Ouch.
Obviously, it doesn't compare to the men, but I will say that I do believe that the women's basketball games have become much more competitive, more action packed. They're scoring more points. They've got some really good players out there. Now, I'm a fan of Caitlin Clark. She's pretty impressive. So I watched the game yesterday, and it was interesting because they actually played the game in Iowa. So the whole stadium was packed, and you never see that with a women's game. So that was pretty exciting. But then I read a headline that the NCAA had to pull a referee out of the game at halftime.
What was that? I didn't see anything about it.
It was basically a game with Chattanooga playing NC State, and somehow in the first half, the NCAA executives figured out that this one ref did not disclose that she got a master's degree from Chattanooga.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was a bit of a conflict of interest. So, overall, I think the article mentioned that it had happened one time before, but amazing that this woman felt that she didn't need to disclose that.
I would actually think that would have happened even more. I mean, because if they're getting master, I mean, once again, the referees who are getting master's degree, they're probably going to larger schools. So I guess you got to mix them up. I mean,
on Arden, she was wrong. And, she got booted. So
wow, now was Chattanooga winning when she got booted? That's an interesting question.
I don't know, but I think they did the right thing. So let's get on to the men's. The men's tournament is usually awesome. Much better than watching NBA basketball. Most of the games can be very close, and a team that's ranked number 12 can end up beating the team ranked 1 or 2. According to Arden from his research this morning, I think you said it was with Yahoo Sports. Is that
Yahoo
correct?
Sports, yes.
Apparently, all brackets have been broken
Every single one.
At this point. So there is not going to be a person with the perfect bracket. But Arden, I say this to you. What about the private people doing brackets? How can they say all brackets are broken?
Well, they meant for Yahoo Sports.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just for Yahoo Sports because Yahoo Sports offers $1 million prize if you have a perfect bracket, and you can enter for free. So a lot of people filled out brackets. But because of the big upset of Oakland beating Kentucky and James Madison beating Wisconsin. Those two combinations knock out every single team out.
Arden, you made me look silly, and I should have realized that.
You're purdy, not silly.
Well, I feel like a dummy because I shouldn't have said, how do they know? Obviously, it is just something within Yahoo Sports. So,
Well, with Google and TikTok and the way that I'm going to go off on a weird one again, with all of their monitoring, they probably do know. They probably, even in your own house, they know who's actually doing it. Yeah, but there's been a lot of upsets, haven't there been?
yeah, I mean, it looks like Grand Canyon
Grand Canyon.
University beat St. Mary's.
Okay.
You know, a team called Creatine. What's it called?
Creighton.
Creighton.
Yes.
My sister was telling me about it this morning that one went out, well into the after midnight, went into a double overtime, whereas that team did prevail. Again, I go back to, the NCAA tournament. There's just nothing like it. In many cases, it's not a blowout.
And you have a game like tonight where you have Abigail's favorite Duke playing against the James Madison Dukes. A little fun, a little different kind of Duke.
I actually have a lot of people that work for me that came from JMU. Good school, good school.
Good school. So both Abigail and I went to really teeny tiny schools, so they're not in the Division I category, so we'll never be able to root for our teams. Now, if Duke gets eliminated, what is your team? Because right now, I go for the team with the worst seed, always. So right now, I have to go for the Dukes, not Duke. But if Duke wins, I have to find the next lowest level seed to win.
I'm not devastated anymore because Duke dominated, and I mean dominated for years. So, if they lose, they lose. I'm still going to enjoy watching the entire tournament.
Nice. And, it's one of those things like my brother. Did I tell you the bracket story with my brother and my niece?
I don't think so, Arden.
So real fast. So this is like, it had to be like 15 years ago. My brother was doing multiple brackets. Everyone, I think, put in like $10, whatever. And as for fun, I mean, he had little kids back then. And the eldest, he actually let her pick a bracket and he put in the $10 for her. And somehow she won. And it was a year Duke did win the NCAA.
That is awesome.
So he didn't know what to do about giving her the money because she won. Like, she wasn't supposed to win. She was like 6 years old or something like that.
What was he going to do? Was he going to pocket it? Come on.
Well, yeah, maybe. Or give it. So eventually he set up a bank account with her. And that became, it was like $500. How funny is that? So all of his friends like lost and like she won. I don't know if she picked the color. I don't know. Or probably because my brother's a huge Maryland fan because he went there and one of Duke's arch rivals is Maryland. So that's probably the reason why they chose.
Are they still in the same conference?
No, they're in separate conferences now, which is kind of a shame because you got North Carolina and Duke, which are the two biggest teams on that, of that. They're in the ACC. And North Carolina is one of the top seeds. Duke is always in the top, and Maryland, Rutgers, they're in the Big Ten. They're going to get squished. And next year, I think next year it even gets bigger, where like Oregon and California, all these teams are coming over, and so the Big Ten is going to be like the Big 20. That's not their big title, but it's getting silly.
It is getting silly. I've heard people complain about the new, divisions or whatever you want to call them, but. Before we stop talking about the NCAA tournament, I have to say that my brother and I have always been a bit of rivals. I like Duke, and of course, he loves UNC. So UNC is a number 1 seed, aren't they?
They are, and they were embarrassed by NC State a few days ago for the ACC championship, and NC State is still alive. They've won 2 games already. They're in the Sweet 16.
So I bring up my brother because I want to give him a shout out. He's going to be moving away, I guess permanently, but hopefully maybe he'll come back. But he's leaving the U.S. I'm going to live in Costa Rica. Real proud of him that he figured out how to get everything done. And I'm going to be taking him to the airport at 2 a.m. on Tuesday. Do you believe that?
Yeah, that's a little too early for me. I'll be sleeping.
It is early, but I want to take him to the airport and say goodbye to him, and.
If I was a great boyfriend, I would like wake up early and offer to go with you, but I suck. I'm the worst.
That's true. You can make sure I stay awake
Yes.
on the ride home.
On the ride home. But you as an amazing sister, you could have told him to just take an Uber. That would have been, that's what I would have done. My brother would have done that. Go take a damn
There's no
Uber.
way I'm letting my baby brother go get on a plane without being able to say goodbye to him at the airport. There will be tears. And I predict that there'll be tears on both sides.
Nice. Well, he'll be back. I mean, you know what he could do? He could actually like try to go through the border and say he's illegal. Might get free stuff that way. I think everyone in Costa Rica is like, dude, you're going the wrong way. What are you doing here? What's wrong with you? The good stuff, you just walk through just open it up. There's no internment camps up there. Anyway, before I get myself into trouble, Abigail, anything else today?
I don't think so. I hope everyone enjoys, the rest of Palm Sunday. Next weekend will be Easter, and we look forward to talking with you again. Have a good day.